Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into Dean Graziosi's book, Millionaire Success Habits. We're going to pull out the core ideas that can seriously help you unlock your own full potential.
So let me ask you something. Do you ever feel like you're just sprinting every single day, but you're not actually getting anywhere? The book kicks off by tapping into this feeling that I think a lot of us know. It's that feeling of being on a treadmill, You're putting in all this effort, you're sweating, you're running hard, but you look around and the scenery, it just never changes. You're not climbing any ladders, you're just running in place.
But here's the big idea, the core message of the whole book. What if where you start has absolutely nothing to do with where you finish? To really drive this point home, we've got to look at the incredible story of a guy named John Paul DeJoria.
Just look at this journey. This isn't just a success story, it's an incredible climb. We're talking about a guy who was homeless at one point, selling things door to door, facing rejection day in and day out. But, and this is the key, he had a vision. He had the right habits. And with just $700 in his pocket, he built a multi-billion-dollar empire. It's like the ultimate proof that success isn't something you're born with, it's something you build.
Okay, so that feeling of being stuck on the treadmill, it's not just in your head. It turns out it's actually a reflection of what's happening out there in the real world, in the economy.
Think about it. As a society, we are working harder and smarter than ever before. For decades, productivity has been shooting through the roof, right? Thanks to technology, we're all getting so much more done, so much faster. But here's the crazy part. For most people, our paychecks haven't kept up. All that extra output, it's just not showing up in our wages.
And this chart really paints the picture. Look at these numbers. Since 1981, the top 1% have seen their income shoot up by a massive 138%. And the bottom 90% of us, a measly 15%. Now, this isn't about getting political. It's just about looking at the facts and seeing that, yeah, there's a huge gap and it's getting wider.
So you might be thinking, okay, the economy's tough. That's what's holding me back. And yeah, it's a factor. But the book argues that the biggest obstacle, the number one thing limiting your potential, it isn't your boss, it isn't your job, it's an enemy that is much, much closer to home.
All right, it's time to confront the main antagonist in your life's story. Let's talk about what the book calls the villain within.
You know that little voice in the back of your head? The one that whispers, you can't do this, you're not good enough, who are you to even try? That's the villain within. The book has this great way of describing it. It's like a parasite. It just quietly latches on and drains your energy, your confidence, your passion for life, often without you even realizing it's happening.
There's this fantastic old fable that just nails this idea perfectly. The story goes that there are two wolves at war inside of you. You've got the bad wolf. It's fueled by jealousy, doubt, and scarcity. It thinks the world is a pretty miserable place. And then you've got the good wolf. That one's all about love, positivity, and empathy. It knows it can do anything it puts its mind to. So, which wolf wins? Well, it's simple. The one you feed.
And the thing is, most of us are feeding that villain, that bad wolf, every single day without even thinking about it. You turn on the news and it's all doom and gloom. You spend time focusing on what you're bad at instead of what you're good at. You listen to bad advice from negative people. Even the words you use, saying I'm so stressed or I'm just overwhelmed. Every single one of those things is like tossing a piece of meat to that inner villain, making it stronger.
Okay, so if we're feeding this villain, how do we start starving it? How do we fight back? Well, it all starts with finding your ultimate motivation, your true, deep down why.
See, it's not enough to just know what you want. It's so much more important to know why you want it. A goal like, I want to make more money or I want to be financially free, that's a head-level goal. It's logical, it makes sense, but it doesn't have the emotional juice to get you through the really tough days. You need a why that comes from your heart, not just your head.
So how do you find that heart-level reason? The book gives us this amazing tool called the 7 Levels Deep exercise. It's really simple. You start with your surface-level goal, like, I want to make more money. And then you ask yourself, okay, why is that important to me? And whatever you answer, you ask why again. You just keep doing this 7 times. Each why takes you a level deeper, past all the logical stuff, until you hit the real, raw, emotional reason that's truly driving you.
The author Dean did this himself, and what he found was that his why had nothing to do with money.
After going through the 7 levels, he realized it was all about a deep-seated need for control. Why? Because he had this chaotic childhood where he moved something like 20 times by the time he was 19. Now that's a why with some serious power behind it. So once you've found that unstoppable why, you've basically got the fuel you need to awaken your inner hero, the perfect antidote to the villain within. The next piece of the puzzle is to consciously, deliberately build the confidence you need to go after your mission.
Listen, we all have a story we tell ourselves about who we are. Things like, I'm too old for that, or I don't have any special skills, or my best days are behind me. The first step here is to stop and actually listen to your story. Is it holding you back? If it is, you have the power to rewrite it. You can literally create a new story for yourself, one that says, my experience is my strength, or I'm just getting started on my next great adventure.
And here's the thing about real, unshakable confidence. It's not something you're born with. It's not magic. It's something you build, step by step. The book calls it the 4 C's. It starts with courage, just taking that scary first step. That leads to commitment, where you decide you're in it for the long haul. As you stay committed, you start building capabilities. You're actually getting better, learning new skills. And you know what the natural result of all that is? Real, authentic confidence.
All right, so you've got your why. You're working on building your confidence. Now for the big question. How do you actually change things in your day-to-day life? The great news is the book makes it super clear. You don't have to blow everything up and start from scratch.
There's this fantastic metaphor in the book that I just love. Picture a farmer driving a tractor across a field. Day after day, he takes the same route. After years of doing this, what happens? Deep, deep ruts are formed in the dirt. Eventually, those ruts are so deep that the tractor just kind of follows them on its own. The farmer could literally let go of the steering wheel, and the tractor would stay on the same old path.
And that's what our lives are like, right? Our habits have carved these deep ruts, and we're just letting them steer us. So how do you get out? How do you change direction? Most of us think we need to yank the wheel and make this huge 180-degree turn. But that's just overwhelming, and honestly, it's why most New Year's resolutions fail by February.
But the real secret to carving a totally new path, well, it's so much smaller and way more achievable than you think.
All you have to do tomorrow is turn that wheel just 1/4 of an inch. That's it. It sounds like nothing, right? But that tiny fractional turn today, compounded over time, means that a mile down the road, that farmer is in a completely new destination, carving a brand new path.
And that, right there, is the biggest takeaway for me. Real, massive, life-altering change doesn't come from some huge, dramatic action. It comes from the smallest, most consistent, most intentional shifts you make every day. So that leaves us with one final question to think about. Your old habits have carved some deep ruts. What new path will you start carving tomorrow?